Today's video is going to be one of the biggest news videos I have done this whole year, and it just happens to be at the end of the year. This is crazy. We have Oathsworn 2, the first images of it. We can actually see it. That's super awesome. We have a Mythic Games blunder with some stolen IP. That's crazy. We got possible scams I'm going to be talking about. We got companies going out of business and blaming others. We got a ton of stuff. We got like campaigns that never delivered that are relaunching, and backers are upset, and it's wild. Okay, so it's going to be a big one. My dog's sneezing. He's so excited. So let's just dive right into this one because there's a lot to unpack. Now, before we dive into this update, because there's a lot to unpack and I want to just be able to dedicate it to you guys, I do want to shout out today's sponsor, GameWorkCreate. They are a long-term sponsor of the channel, and they offer you guys a great service. Just a really, really quality product here, where, as you can see, they have all these awesome Kickstarter games and crowdfunded board games and stuff like that, which are super cool, and even a few others. They have a whole bunch of RPG books and accessories, including like these really fancy dice and dice box sets and all stuff. Really, really cool. And again, some of these great games. I just unboxed Neomorphosis, and you can see they have the high pledge for 185. This is pretty much the only way you can get this game now. These kind of indie games that go on crowdfunding just kind of like aren't available otherwise. In fact, if you look here, even the original price was like 135, so it's not even that much more than what people paid years and years and years ago, but you won't be out of your money that long because you're just actually buying it once it's actually delivered. And sure enough, there's one other copy I was even able to find on Board Game Geek, and it was for more, 186. This is seriously a good deal. I didn't see any on eBay, by the way. Like, it's great to be able to get these awesome indie games. So if you see something like that, that another influencer is covering or anything like that, or you come in late, or you didn't quite, get the pledge, but then when it delivers, you're like, oh, I wish I got it. GameWorkCreate. That's where you can go to get your awesome RPG accessories and really cool board games just like that. So they are linked down in the description below. Feel free to show them some love. In return, that helps the channel because obviously it makes the sponsor happy, and they will continue sponsoring, and that helps the channel. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to start with an RPG, actually. This was a special request from one of you guys. If you guys ever see anything you want me to look into, let me know. Shoot me an email. That's a great way to get a hold of me. You can sometimes find me on Discord or in the comments even. If I see it, I'm going to add it to a list, and I will eventually be able to look into it. This is one of them, the MCDM RPG. It has made almost $3 million and seems to, for a lot of people, come out of nowhere. But as you can see, there are like 52,500 followers on this on BackerKit, which again, most people aren't used to seeing too many deals in here. So 23 days left, they're easily going to break 3 million, right? 16,449 backers. That is huge. And then if you actually look at this, right, like a lot of the art looks cool and stuff like that, and they have a few sample pages, but otherwise there's not a lot to show on here. Even like what they're funding. Oh, this generic heroes, like they don't even have a render for that. And then when you get like this fancy edition here, right, this is obviously a work in progress render up of that. So, it's not as much as you see a lot of RPGs. A lot of RPG campaigns pretty much either upload a whole section for free that you can read through and stuff like that. I've seen that happen a lot, or even like a whole one shot or something. I mean, they're pretty good at offering a large value when it comes to what you can get even just for free, just from the campaign being there. This is not the case here. So how is it funding so much? How are so many people excited about it? Well, I looked into it, and I think this is a safe back. Again, everything is going to be linked down in the description below, of course, plus a whole bunch more. There's a lot on Kickstarter and Gamefound and even BackerKit that'll be down in that description for your guys' convenience. Feel free to check it out. But I think this is fine because look at this. Okay, so this is, first of all, like a legit thing. They've been doing this stuff for a while. They offer these other products, and they have for quite some time. But it's actually, again, it's one of those already influencers that are making something. So if you see here, this is Matthew Colville, and he's kind of been doing this. He has 374 videos, and as you can see, they do quite well. And in fact, these are not even his most popular. You go to his most popular, look at that, 2 million, 1.6 million. He does some fundamental stuff that a lot of DMs this is where you should go. In fact, it's a great resource. If you want to become a better dungeon master, looks like he can get you there and give you some really good advice, right? But even this, on being an evil character running the game, it's just, it runs the gamut. He has a ton of this super useful stuff, and he's really good in front of the camera. So definitely good. And he made an MCDM channel where he kind of runs that. As you can see, here he is right here. So he's obviously well invested in this. He's been doing this for a while. He's gotten a lot of followers, and now he's making a legit full product here on BackerKit, and it's got a lot of people excited. So if you're into RPGs, I think this is one actually to check out. I think it looks pretty cool, and it looks like it's from a very passionate person, and that's awesome. I love it. I think that's great. Okay, moving on with that, we also got Tiny Epic Cthulhu. This one barely escaped my, this is the last news video to show off new stuff here. So that was a little investigation, but again, it's new for you guys. Tiny Epic Cthulhu, though, is here. It does have pretty dice. It's at almost 400,000, almost 10,000 backers, and still 10 days to go. It's doing quite well. This is kind of funny because I remember this was advertised quite a while ago. And I think since then, the Cthulhu phase, right, the H.P. Lovecraft phase has kind of died down, right? You know, for a while it was zombies, and then it was pirates, and then it was Norse, and then it was Cthulhu, and you know, this is kind of really at the tail end here. But one thing Tiny Epic does really well is some, not all, but I think some of their games are legitimately pretty good, and if nothing else, they're good for the price. $25. That is not bad at all. So you can go ahead and check this out. Each of the games play a little different. You can see kind of how this one goes, and you can read up on it, of course. But $25, not too bad. That being said, you may as well get it. Shipping isn't too bad. They actually put it in a bag, which kind of hurts your soul a little bit, but it generally comes pretty okay. It's not like super heavy or anything like that. But it's only $5 more than the premium print in place. So yeah, may as well. The difference is you have to wait either between February and November. And then they have the deluxe game, Deluxe, for $30. So it's not, I mean, it's not that bad, right? It's actually pretty good when it comes to pricing. And it's impressive that it's raised that much with that lower price. Again, it's revenue, not profit. Their profit, they can actually make profit here with something that can make $3 million, may not actually make any profit. That's totally possible. So I think these games are quite profitable for them, and they've obviously been doing this for a long time, which I think is awesome. All right, Oathsworn 2. Let's get right to it, guys. Here is an artwork reveal and sign up for Oathsworn 2. Let's say here, this is how you can see one of the first images coming out of the Shadowborn Cave for the second Oathsworn game. Deep in the bowels, we are hammering away, forging and refining something that will become a grand and epic successor to Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. Super cool. Here's like a little closer up of that picture. Yeah, that's right. He's repelling that magic from the witch. Of course he is. I don't know what this is doing. I don't know if there's like a crusade going on, or as you can see, he's got a chakra ready. He's ready to go. She's like lighting her whole place on fire. It's crazy. I don't know what was on that book, but I guess we'll never find out. Either way, looks pretty cool, of course. Now, how different will it be? We don't know. We don't know. If it's just Oathsworn 2, it's obviously like a direct sequel. So you would think it would be in the same vein as first Oathsworn. But I don't know. We'll find out. So here is a surprise. Come On brought DCeased to Gamefound for the Pledge Manager, not Backer Kit. This is a big deal, guys. This is a big deal. And here's why. Now, I guess first of all, disclaimer, don't freak out if you haven't gotten your survey. I haven't either. Nobody has. This is the late pledge, not to the Pledge Manager where they've brought in your information. So you'll see here, the only thing is the 130. They don't even have the all-in or anything like that. So you can go ahead and add that. If you didn't get the Kickstarter, you can still get it here and then get tied into the Pledge Manager where you can do the whole thing. So that's actually kind of nice. Now, one thing they haven't done is enabled stretch pay. Now, will they offer the $390 or the all-in, and will that offer stretch pay? I don't know. I think it would be a big bummer if they bring this all the way to Gamefound finally and they don't offer stretch pay. I know there's a ton of people that get a little sketchy around dropping $400 for a board game, and I can't blame you. That's a lot of money. That's almost a PS5, guys, all right? So it's not small change for really anybody. However, if they do stretch pay, that's not too bad, not too bad. Even if it's 4 payments of $100, that's more manageable than $400 all at once. And you can spread it out over 4 months. And if they do even longer than 4 months, it just goes down more and more. So, yeah, I don't know. So right now, no stretch pay, which is kind of unfortunate, even for the 130. I think there's a lot of people that would kind of like to piecemeal it until the Pledge Manager opens in 2 to 3 months, right? Probably more closer to 2 months, I would say. But with the holiday, that might be different. Q4 campaigns are kind of hard to judge on that. They might miss about 2 weeks worth of work, right? So maybe about 2 months or so. So probably around February, mid-February. It'd be nice if you weren't, like fully committed until then anyway. And then you can, of course, add more. Don't know. We'll see, of course, but that's pretty interesting. That's cool that they're coming to Gamefound. Again, I support it because Kickstarter sucks. In fact, I would have preferred their campaign to be on Gamefound until Kickstarter starts to actually care, which I'm not sure that will ever happen. All right, next up is Werewolf, the Apocalypse Retaliation. A little bit of an update here. After my video covering their whole situation, They made an update that's great, but then did something not so great. So we're going to kind of go over both here, right? And this has been their last update, by the way. This is update number 43. Last time I updated, I put you guys through update 42. The closing of the Pledge Manager will no longer be December 22nd. Again, I established this in my video, but rather at the end of January, allowing everyone to recover from the holiday season expenses. That's super cool. I'm glad they're able to do that. We have decided to collaborate with a fulfillment center in the UK, Spiral Galaxy Games, and in Australia and New Zealand via our distribution. This involves more management and logistics on our side, but it significantly reduces costs for backers in those regions. So if you were in the UK, Australia, or New Zealand, you probably have less shipping now. And that should already be in the Pledge Manager. This is automatic. And then for backers in the rest of the world that, it's super excessive, they do offer the option to pay them in installments. You just have to contact them. I think that's super great. Now, this was on December 6th. That's important, but that's kind of the update there. I think that's great. That's great that they were doing that for sure. However, update time. Okay, so this is a good breakdown that Brabant did, so thank you for summarizing this for me in one post, so I don't have to do a lot of scrolling and tab work, which is what I normally have to do. So he says, I just want to clarify what Flyos did and did not say and do. And the update on December 14th, or on December 4th, they said they would close the Pledge Manager in late December. In comments, they clarified that the PM closure would be December 22nd. Again, I showed that off. And also said that cards would be charged by BackerKit on 12/06 for those that had completed their survey. An email was also sent from BackerKit to people that had completed the surveys that cards were about to be charged. Both of those pieces of information absolutely should have gone in the update, not in comments, for sure. They then posted an update, especially with so many comments coming. Not everybody's going to see that. They then posted an update on 12/6 that I just showed you that said that they would delay the close of the PM until the end of January, and again mentioned nothing about charging cards for people who had completed the surveys. And again, only in the comments, they said they would now charge cards on Monday the 11th. Now, this is where I'm going to pause real quick, just to let you guys know that, yes, so essentially, if you had already, finalized your pledge, in other words, your survey is all good, your card was already charged regardless of the PM actually ending in December. What BackerKit does that none of the other pledge managers, I believe, offer is the ability to charge cards multiple times, not just at the end of the pledge manager. It's something I've hated entirely. Every single time it's happened, I've never been happy about that because I never really know when. Even with the updates, stuff like that, it gets kind of hard to know, oh, we're going to be charging on this and on this and on that. I don't need three. It's just charge at the end. The whole charging early makes no sense to me. I don't know what you're getting from that because if you don't have it all anyway, you can't pay for whatever it is you're going to pay for anyway. So you're just charging cards, I guess, to charge them. I don't know. Super weird. I don't like the practice. I don't like that BackerKit does that. I hate every time a company does that. Always, forever, will. I do not like it. It just is confusing, and not everybody follows it, but it's pretty known. Oh, hey, Pledge Manager ends in January. Okay, I'll be charged in. Nope. They can charge you early, and they did. It seems like some people thought that from the information in the updates, and I'll go over this, they would wait to charge cards until the end of January for those with completed surveys, but that was never said by Flyos. On the flip side, Flyos, and again, I don't know if it's Flyos, whatever, could have made it more clear when cards would be charged for completed surveys by putting it in the updates instead of in comments, 100%. I don't think anything malicious or underhanded is going on here. I just think Flyos failed to communicate clearly and also made some poor decisions. Comparing them to Peterson Games or Mythic or whatever failed crowdfunding game publisher is a bit extreme. It depends. I feel if your comparison is for just poor business practice and poor communication, then that seems completely apt. If it's they're scamming us, I would say no. So it depends on what the claim is, but I think it's fine to compare them to companies that can't communicate well or organize themselves well, because that's kind of obvious. And again, I said this when they first did the chapters one, that they're a new company that's super small, that is exploded thanks to an IP in popularity, and it's going to be rough. And sure enough, it's rough. Now, I'm not trying to say I told you so. I'm just trying to say that I do try to warn you guys, and I do try to have some good insight into these things by covering this so much. I've been doing this for years. So if my videos are helpful, I'm so glad. I really am. And if I am saying something, at least give it a cent and a half or so of thought. Maybe just a tiny bit of salt. Make your own decision, of course, but I am trying to help you guys when I say stuff like that. Okay, so GP Von X, a super backer, says this pretty well. How is it possible that you charged our credit cards today after the latest update 43 very clearly said, and this is a quote, The closing of the Pledge Manager will not be on December 22nd, but rather at the end of January, allowing everyone to recover from the holiday season expenses. How does this now help us recover from the holiday season expenses? That's a very good point. It's that last part that really, I think, insinuates you're going to wait to charge, that you've changed your mind on when you're going to charge cards. Because you're literally saying, we're going to wait to take your money until you can recover. And then they promptly charge a whole bunch of people before anyway, right before Christmas, actually. And there's tons of people coming here being like, God, that was my money I was going to be putting towards like presents, like for my family, my kids. And now you just took it. And I thought you were going to delay it and allow us to recover. And now I guess we're going to close the Pledge Manager, but you've already paid, so it doesn't matter, which makes no sense at all. It was super poor of them to do. Again, I don't even necessarily think it's malicious or anything like that. I think they probably just didn't cancel. They didn't think about it. And that's the problem. Every time I update E1 Flyos or whatever their name is, I have to end up saying, I don't think they were thinking about you. I don't think you were the highest point on their mind. I feel their actions speak louder than any words they may or may not say, which they only say the words after you tell them you didn't say it. It's like saying, hey, you're supposed to say thank you. And they're like, oh yeah, thank you. It's like, well, how much are you thankful and how much are you just responding because I had to tell you that? And then if continually you have to tell them, hey, say thank you. And oh yeah, thank you. It's like, well, at some point, you just have to realize that if they're not super thankful, they're not going to say thank you. And they keep not saying thank you, right? So maybe they're not super thankful. It's one of those kind of situations. They're continually over and over and over again making these decisions where they're not thinking about the backer experience. They're thinking about the company. And that it just is inherently part of this company, okay, as far as I can tell. Now, if I see a change and I see a legit change with action, by all means. And the whole like, hey, we're going to extend it. Again, like that was only a reaction to the complete uproar of them not realizing what they'd done to begin with. And even then, they kind of only half did it. And so they weren't even very thorough about it. So it's unfortunate. It really is to see something so good and then, no, they still didn't quite do it. I was excited to show you this update. Hey, they did delay it. They were listening. But it turns out they still didn't think about you guys, about your bank account, about how they're affecting you right now, that it's, just like 2 weeks out from Christmas. Pretty unfortunate. Okay, next up, village attacks. Oh man, if you didn't know what's going on here, this TA Gray kind of bought it from the liquidator, the IP, and we're going to see what they're going to do with it. So first of all, if you thought that, and by the way, you may have heard some of the designers of village attacks from Grimlord Games. Turns out they didn't finish designing the game. So the Mogwai event rules, yeah, not designed. Advertised, sold, not designed. Dragon Clan, oh yeah, actually they don't have all the function that was shown on the Kickstarter, and their 3 scenarios were never designed either. Still. In other words, not only did they not make this game, they didn't even bother finishing developing it. This was not planned to be like actually delivered, or they would have actually designed it. They didn't even bother doing that. This was such a ridiculous setup anyway. So whoever the designers were didn't finish the job, it seems. And Order of the Tower, that's for the Dice Tower. He doesn't think that's going to be made. It wasn't. He doesn't think it will be, just because of the changes like Sam leaving Dice Tower and stuff like that. So, but there was no contract or anything like that. It was kind of a bummer. Okay, print and play plans. They will start working on this in January, but that means it will be a while, but essentially be able to print and play the game that way. Minis, they'll be making the STL files available to backers. I'm assuming that'll be in a backer-only update where they'll link to the STLs, because I don't see any other way they could contact backers very easily because of what's next. As of now, my plan is to bring Grim Dynasty back to Kickstarter in Q2 of next year. That's pretty darn soon, right? In fact, in January, they're going to put up the pre-launch page. So if this looked interesting to you and you think it's going to be a thing now, stay tuned, I guess. However, all the stretch goals that were met previously as add-ons will be available, but they might either be add-ons or in the appropriate pledge level that pretty much includes the add-on. So it looks like it might be actually a little bit pricier, especially with today's day and age when it comes to making stuff. And because obviously this wasn't profitable enough to begin with, so it's probably going to be kind of pricey, is my guess here. But no stretch goals or anything like that. Now, will previous backers get a free or discounted copy? As T.A. Gray says, is this name T.A. Gray? What was his name again? Yeah, T.A. Gray. Okay. I wish this were feasible. Part of my agreement with the liquidators is that I can't have access to backer data for privacy reasons. My only access to the Kickstarter interface is the ability to make updates and comments, and I don't have any of your names or email addresses. So that's kind of a little bit of an issue there, right? When it comes to being able to validate it easily. Now, he could obviously put a backer only thing and have people comment. And as long as people comment on there, you know they're legit, and then you can get information from them that way. But that's a lot of effort, right? For thousands of people, right? Like that's definitely not easy, like exporting a CSV of all the backer information. Or you could obviously have people send you proof in some way, showing the invoice number and all that. So you do worry about some Photoshop stuff. And no matter what, it's not a perfect thing, and it's all hands-on. It's a ton of work. So I understand this, but it does suck. I know a lot of people say, hey, these other companies haven't done this, but I don't think most of them buy it from liquidators. Normally, it's a company that's struggling to deliver that sells their IP before liquidation. This one, they just went to liquidation. They're just like, yeah, no, screw you guys. And so the liquidators apparently put it this way. I tend to believe him on that. I can understand that, though it is unfortunate. But to say that it's like, that's why he says it's not feasible. Not possible. It's just not very feasible to be able to do that in any kind of good way. So I kind of see that, but it does kind of suck. Let me know your thoughts on bringing this back to Kickstarter, knowing that, of course, people who did spend all their money and want it the first time pretty much are out of luck. They can get a print and play. There will be a few copies available to actually buy from US or Canada from their web store, and the rest will be through the world via Amazon. So like you could buy it that way, but otherwise nobody's really getting their stuff. You'll get some STLs and print and play. Let me know your thoughts. It's kind of a bummer. It's a bad situation either way. Okay, Mythic Games. So if you didn't know, they're doing this weird Krampus update thing where they're like trying to do like a 12 days of Christmas kind of thing, where they have different deals to try and sell through the remaining products that they have on their web store. I'm assuming they have the product to sell. That's kind of iffy these days, I feel. But one thing that they did, this was, I believe, the day before, so I don't have access to it because they only have access to each day. It's like the 12 days, right? But the first one was Rise of Necromancers. This one now is Darkest Dungeon. By the time you see this video tomorrow, I don't know what it'll be. It'll be some other game, whatever. But they used this image, which obviously is not Rise of the Necromancers. In fact, it's stolen art from the Diablo 3 Rise of the Necromancer expansion, the DLC. Which is obviously kind of bad. Obviously kind of bad. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty obvious that whoever did this just Googled Rise of the Necromancer, not Necromancers, or for whatever reason picked this. But this is such a rookie mistake. This is something that not a company does. I'm reminded of Mythic Games sending me rulebooks with French sections fully in them, or having me set up Joan of Arc in an impossible way because there aren't the components that they tell you to actually use. So you can't even set up the things. Like it's just, or the Reichbusters where the equipment was wrong and all this other stuff. It shows a lack of just polish and I can't believe they made this. Again, it's such a rookie business. They've been in business for years. How are you just doing a Google image search and just saving it and photoshopping it on there is beyond me. Not only that, but it looks like they actually like edited it. And I don't know if this is an exact thing. Obviously it looks expanded here, right? Like maybe they expanded it. Maybe they used some AI. Like his head is now over here. I don't even know. Is this from the board game or the video game? I don't know. You guys let me know. But either way, it's pretty ridiculous. This image is bigger, by the way. Like it's pretty much this whole thing here, right? You get the whole thing. It's a little cut off here. It's wild, guys. I don't understand how you do this as a company, and how that's supposed to instill confidence that we just grabbed some copyrighted material from Blizzard Entertainment and threw it on our website to sell our board games. I have no words. I just hope I get to the rest of Darkest Dungeon, and I think I'm just going to walk away after that. I can't. It's like an abusive relationship, and you just see them continually make mistakes over and over and over again, and you try to help, or you think, oh man, they just need to pick themselves up, and they just don't. Okay, one more thing. another kind of issue here. This is kind of interesting. So this guy, Biodelic, he said, oh boy, Ludus Magnus and their ease of referencing idea. So if you didn't know, the Nova Aetus Renaissance rulebook, if you saw my unboxing, it's not necessarily a rulebook. You have a tutorial, and then you have essentially a giant glossary, alphabetically listed all of the stuff, right? You're supposed to be able to find stuff very easily. So let's see the breakdown of what an actual experience this person had. Enemy attack has burn effect or condition. No further explanation. Go to the rulebook. No entry for effects or conditions. Scratch head and wonder. Start to cruise the table of contents for something related. Find status tokens. Read entry. Entry tells you to look into the handbook. Handbook explains the token burned. Accidentally find the effect of burn under traits in handbook. Other fun traits: Bone Crusher, Reach, Curse, Mark, among others. As you can see, it's just this ridiculous set where something as simple as looking up what the burn effect is not so simple. My worry about this, my difficulty when I see stuff like this, is just like the mistakes I just mentioned that Mythic Games made, right? Or has made in their past, and all these other companies, where it's so obvious to me that their playtesting, if there was any, was bad. That they're not doing proper blind playtesting. When people understand it's kind of like why I don't like playing prototypes with the game designer, because I'm going to have a different experience than if I just try to play it myself. Now, with a prototype, you're going to have a different experience anyway, right? And so there is kind of that, I give the leeway there. But if you have people that already know the game playing it, they're not going to catch stuff like this. Whereas a new player that has only had the rulebook and has not had it explained to them in any other way, has to look up something as simple as a status effect, that's something that should instantly be caught in playtesting and made sure that the rulebook, oh yeah, that's the number one question people ask, so we're definitely going to note that. And as you can see, it wasn't done here. And it's just frustrating. And again, Ludus Magnus Studio has a history of this kind of stuff too, right? They were the ones that delivered Black Rose Wars with footnotes, like notes from the proofreaders printed into the rulebook. It boggles my mind that these companies, even years later, again, that was like old school. That was like 2018, guys. Okay, that was like really early on. And yet, here we are, still like making mistakes like this. We need to push for some technical writers, some legit people that know how to document and write and teach stuff. It's a whole profession. You can hire people specifically trained for it. And I'm sick and tired of these games with these giant rule books that are unusable, that obviously haven't even been worked on very well, that aren't even fully read through. How is it, if I owned a company and I'm making a product and they send me the preview copy, I'm going to read that rulebook front to back, and I'm going to make sure I note every single thing. Yes, it might take you an hour and a half of reading. You might have to sit there and actually read it. It's your product. Make it good. Okay. Well, that was an update. That was a lot. There's actually some more I'm going to be sharing in a future video. This will be kind of dedicated. It's a little bit more of a deep dive into something. But yeah, anyway, there's some cool stuff, right? I don't want to forget that. This MCDM RPG, super cool, right? And then you have Tiny Epic Cthulhu, super cool. Oathsworn 2's coming. There's some awesome stuff. You can get a lot of cool games at GameWorkCreate, so show them some love. Everything and more is linked down in the description below, of course. Guys, thank you so much for an awesome year. I hope I provided value to you guys. I hope these news videos are, if nothing else, entertaining if you've already moved on from crowdfunding. But if you're still there like me, I hope that you find them useful. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Bye, guys.